Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is here. The attempted end of a trilogy, end of 9 movies of this adventure that Rey, Finn, and Poe are on. The Return of the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Did we like what they did with the Emperor? Did we like the end of Kylo Ren and Rey's story?
Tune in to find out.
Tune in next time. This is, of course, the Talking Reviews. I'm Cody.
I'm Kevin.
And we're just talking. We just saw, or we didn't just see, we saw it yesterday, but we're going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, as a, would you say you're a casual Star Wars fan?
I'd say casual, yeah.
I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, but I got to say, I wasn't super, I didn't have any expectations for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped to some degree. Because I did not like The Last Jedi and I didn't like The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So that's not a good start for me going into this as a trilogy to end cap it to begin with. That I don't really like these characters you've set up. I liked Rey in Force Awakens, but then I didn't like her in Last Jedi, so I didn't like her trajectory. The only character I really cared for going into this was Kylo Ren. And I was interested to see where they would go with him. Of course, we're going to do spoilers later. We're going to start out with non-spoilers. So, broad opinions, what did you think of the movie?
It was, yeah, man, it's one of those movies that feels like it should have been split into maybe 2 parts.
Yeah, you definitely feel it's so funny because in interviews, JJ is pretty, he's pretty positive about Rian Johnson's take on The Last Jedi. But then you watch this movie and you really get the sense that he hated it.
Yeah,
because there are multiple digs at that movie in this movie, which is it's kind of weird, you know.
I know. Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of funny, but sometimes it's like, are we really? We're poking fun at the last movie. It's weird, isn't it, that they're doing that in a movie, self-referential like that?
It is.
It comes off as strange to me.
A little bit. Yeah.
Very fast. The movie was extremely fast paced.
Oh my word! That first half, man. Like I was like, okay, now they're here. Okay, all right, now okay, now they're okay.
We gotta get this thing. Now we gotta do this thing. Now we gotta get this thing. Now we gotta do this thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's a character. Here's a character. Here's a character.
Here's a place. Here's a place. Here's an item.
Yep.
That we need to get to this place with these people, but then we have to meet these people in order to get to that place, and then it's just, okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a lot, and it's not necessary is the weird thing. It's not like, I don't think any of it's especially bad in that first act, but it does feel unnecessary. It's just kind of pointless thing to pointless thing to pointless thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's slowly moving the plot forward, but it's doing it in a way that's taking up a lot of time to get information for this thing so we can get this artifact and so on and so on. Yeah, could have cut back on maybe one planet or so. And then we could have fleshed out some other things a little more.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. It almost felt like and I'm saying this like maybe because I've been playing Jedi
Fallen Order. Yeah, it felt like that.
But it felt like a game.
That's actually really funny. I was thinking that too. It felt like that. What did you think of? Did you think this was like a good end cap to the trilogy?
I don't know.
Did it answer the questions you had? Did it? You know what I mean?
There's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah,
I will have to say.
But this is it. I know we're not getting another one.
I know we're not getting another one.
Well, I mean, we will.
Right. I almost want to see a director's cut of this movie.
Yeah, there's some things that come off strange in the film, and it kind of makes you wonder: is there an extended version of this where this doesn't feel as strange,
right?
As abrupt or weird or creepy, even.
Yeah, man. The thing about this movie is like I feel there were a couple of good things.
Yeah.
About it, like I think the sound design and the music were great. Like,
yeah, that's one thing. I actually, John Williams scored all three of these, of course. I think this is the best score in all of them. I was because I was picking up on it. There's hints of there's new songs he does that are reminiscent of old songs, even
Yeah.
from the prequels, which is really cool. Um, no, I think this is his best score in all the movies. I think he did an excellent job. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, you can't really. The visuals are great, obviously. I
Mhm.
mean, it's hard to pick apart. Like, there's nothing on the technical side that is bad. I would say, with maybe some Leia stuff. There's some
Yeah.
argument there, but uh, I
I think
on that side, absolutely, they nailed it.
yeah, the
The
week
editing is weird though.
yeah.
It's not bad per se, but it is just breakneck.
Yeah, it can be a bit jarring
Yeah.
at points like um oh gosh, and the story needed some work as well.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is too, Colin Trevorrow, he was initially supposed to be the director for this. Who he was the director of Jurassic World, but he still has a writing credit on the movie. So I think some of his concepts still snuck in there. It
Mm.
was J.J. Abrams, and him, and then the guy that wrote uh, Batman v Superman and Justice League. So
Huh.
he's getting work.
Nice. Man, I will say some of the directing, like I for the most part, I feel the directing was good.
Solid, really solid.
But there were a couple shots that kind of stood out to me.
Mm.
I
Are they
think
spoilery?
uh no.
Get into it then, because I'm
Um
curious.
yeah, I think the one that stood out to me was when like a lot of the characters are on these like vehicles
Hmm.
and the camera's doing
On the
this
sand
like
planet.
right,
Yeah.
and this camera does a motion that it didn't feel Star Wars to me. It
Oh,
felt more
yeah.
like Star Trekky
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's doing like this unnatural movement. Like it's not somebody
It's
riding
not, it's a
alongside a
fake
car.
camera.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, and you got that in The Force Awakens as well. That is one thing. I mean, with The Last Jedi, I will say, I think just from a directing perspective, I actually think that movie is better.
Yeah.
Um, Again, just from that perspective.
Right.
uh, I think Ryan Johnson's a fantastic director, and J.J. Abrams isn't bad at all. But
No.
he has a style that is not especially Star Wars. I agree. I agree. And even Ryan Johnson isn't really Star Wars, but it it kind of fit more, I think, for whatever reason. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Um, so yeah, I overall I did not like this movie. I think
Yeah.
it's the best of the three for me.
Yeah.
I know most people will probably say Force Awakens, which is fine. Um, I still don't want to watch this movie again. I still didn't like it, but
Yeah.
there's the most good things in this movie, and I'll say for the most part the humor wasn't awful. In fact, there's some really good moments of humor in this movie. I think as far as humor is concerned, this movie had the best humor in it of the three as well. Um, there's some parts that are really bad, of course, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's just how it is now. Um, but yeah, overall, it was a fine movie. I guess we can get into our ratings. I think I would probably give it a. We didn't review Last Jedi, huh? That was before we were doing this.
Yeah. Before we existed.
Because I would say that's below mediocre for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it's so hard with this one because there are aspects of this film that are definitely below mediocre,
Right. So
but there's other things
yeah, here let's
that even it out. So
maybe
I'm in that
let's
5-6 range.
yeah, because yeah, there are some good things in this movie. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, the sound design, the music.
Yeah.
I did like Kylo in
Yep.
this.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I feel he's
And
definitely one of
honestly,
the more
I liked
interesting.
for the most part. I liked the cast. You
Yeah.
know, for the most part, there's some decisions I didn't like with them, but as far as them, their dynamic and everything like that, I thought they were the best in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of that is because you have that Ray, Finn, and Poe are together for a lot of this movie, which is cool because we didn't get that in either of the two movies before. Um, I think Poe meets Ray at the end of The Last Jedi, if I remember correctly. he hadn't even met her before that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to have them all three together, and I think they work pretty well with each other. There's some dialogue that's not good, and there's some humor that's not good, but when it's good, it's good. Um, yeah, I don't know. For now, okay, so I might change it when we actually start talking about it. For now, I think I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard though.
Yeah. No,
It might be a
I get it.
6.
All right. I'll give mine. I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
Because yeah, I do think this
Yeah.
was the best out of the trilogy out
Yeah.
of 5. Um, like dang man, there are a couple good things in it, but it doesn't redeem the rest of the movie
Yeah.
for me. Like there were some things like I will say whoever made that trailer, like
Yeah. That trailer is good.
wow, you
The,
guys murdered that. Like it made me feel stuff
I was hoping
for the
that
series
that
that
version of the theme would poke in the movie, but I don't think it was.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
'Cause,
That was a
yeah.
great rendition of the Star
Oh,
Wars
it was
theme.
so good. And like the shots that they used were pretty good too. Like there was the one shot in the trailer where there are all these animals riding on a
Yeah.
Star Destroyer, right?
Yes.
And I was like, how? They're in space. But then get the question answered in the movie.
Hey, look at that.
Yep. And then get a lot of other
They can breathe in
questions
space.
unanswered from the movie. It's a delicate balance, the
Yeah,
Force.
like I said, I'd give Last Jedi definitely below average. It's hard with Force Awakens because it's a well-made movie. It's a lot tighter than this movie. It works a lot better as a movie, I think, because this one is just so messy, and I can't really say the same for Force Awakens. It's a pretty tight film. I just don't like a lot of the decisions made.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I would rate that one. I might actually, even though I like this one more, I might rate that one higher just because it's not as
Like
as much
as
of a
a movie,
mess.
right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
standalone. If you don't think of it in
yeah,
a series,
right. Personal bias out of it. So yeah, I guess I'll go 5.5 for now. You're going 5. Now we're gonna go into spoilers. So there's a lot to get into, obviously. Did you think that Finn and Poe were gonna make out?
fingers crossed.
Because
the
I
entire
really
movie.
did. I'm not even kidding. I went into this movie. So the only thing I had spoiled for me was that there was a gay kiss in the movie. And I didn't know who it was. I assumed, since it had an article written about it, I assumed it would be a main character.
Nope.
I thought maybe it wouldn't be, but that was in the back of my head. And then there were moments in this movie that were like, oh, it's going to be Finn and Poe at the end, because they had like kind of a lover's quarrel thing going on. There's that part where they're sinking in the sand, and Finn is like, he tells Rey, I needed to tell you something, or I never got to tell you something, or whatever it is he says. I thought what he was going to say was that I'm gay. I thought that's what he was going to tell her.
You should have.
And then, because later on, I think Poe's the first, or no. Rey asks him, so what did you want to tell me? And he says, I'll tell you later. And then Poe's like, oh, when I'm not here? So I thought, and then later on, he's like, so what were you going to tell Rey? And he's like, now's not the time, or whatever, when they're about to get killed.
Yeah.
I kept, there's a lot of, and they kept arguing throughout the movie. So I was getting a lot of sexual tension. I thought at the very end of the movie, everyone's celebrating and kind of making eye contact with each other.
Oh my god.
I thought Finn and Poe were going to make eye contact with each other.
That is really funny.
And make out. But it didn't happen.
I can totally see how you could come to that conclusion.
Yeah. There's a lot of sexual tension between them.
Oh, there is. I liked the relationship between Poe and that one chick.
Yeah, she was great. I wish there was more of her.
Me too.
One of the problems with this movie is they introduce 2 or 3 new characters and they don't get a lot of screen time. It's kind of just introduce them, get a little bit of character, move on. Introduce the one with, we actually never even see her face, huh? We just see her eyes for a little bit. It's kind of funny. So we're introduced to her for a little bit on her planet. Later on, we're introduced to another girl who's she used to be a stormtrooper, and she left. That's what her and Finn kind of commiserate about,
Oh, right. And then
She was kind of cool too, but the only purpose for her was to introduce the horses, which was kind of stupid. Um, I didn't dislike either of those characters. I kind of liked both of them, but we needed
we needed more.
we needed more,
Like,
and so get rid of one of them maybe, and have more screen time based on one of them.
well, no, what they're gonna do is start a Disney Plus original series for both of
Oh
them.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
with the ex Stormtrooper with Lando, and
That was
her
weird.
with Poe.
Can we talk about that? That was that's one of those things that there has to be a cut scene that makes that way less creepy. Because
Right.
you get like so Lando or
Because yeah, dude.
she walks up to him at the end and she sits
Oh
down
my
and she says, "So
gosh.
where are you from?" And he says, "Wherever." And he asks her where she's from and she says, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, let's find out."
Yeah. As his hand slowly caresses her inner thigh.
Yeah,
It's like-
it's he's getting dad vibes and creepy sexual vibes at the same time. It was
yeah,
weird.
sugar daddy vibes.
It was weird, but there has to be something more to that. There had to be something with Lando or her that made that not creepy.
Right.
You know, that was cut.
Well,
Because
okay.
it stands out so much. It's so
Right.
weird.
So I guess also kind of speaking on odd editing, like all of Carrie Fisher's scenes.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Ah, man,
You get the feeling like, I mean, it looks pretty good.
right.
It looks really good, actually.
Yeah, but there were a couple scenes of dialogue where it's like,
No, there's yeah.
am I missing something here? Like, because the way someone would pitch a question or say a statement, her response was kind of
It was off just enough that
Yeah.
you notice it, and it doesn't help that we know it.
yeah.
So if we didn't know she died, maybe it wouldn't stand out as much. I don't know.
But
The
like,
one that stood out to me the most was when Rey tells her, she says, "I know you're not gonna, or I don't care if you don't want me to go. I'm gonna go anyway." And then Leia says, "No." And then Rey keeps talking about this whole thing, and it's like it's a one-sided conversation.
right,
You know, Leia would have a
Yeah.
lot to say if she was
right.
if
I
she was
know
alive. But
that scene stood out to me too. It's like that's all you got to say.
it's really too bad. I feel like they should have just written her off in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, you know what they should have
Because
done?
I don't think what she did in this movie was, and it sucks, man, because I actually really like the whole Leia training Rey idea. That's really cool, but they're just so limited in how they could actually show that.
Right.
They couldn't actually show her training her because then they'd have to do CG or something like that.
Or you know what they should have done?
What's that?
Do it in The Last Jedi,
Right? Yeah.
and then everything that she does in this movie might make sense.
It's too bad because I really like what they did with Leia in this movie, except for her death. Her death was stupid. But if they were able to flesh out this story more, and I really wish she was a Jedi. You know, that they do that flashback scene to her and Luke training,
Oh yeah.
and that's cool. I just they kind of retroactively do it because at first I think they were like, okay, she's not a Jedi, maybe she's too old or whatever the reasoning. So we're just gonna say she's a general. She did politics instead of the Force. Leia being a Jedi is so much cooler than that to me, you know. And I really like retroactively I like that they did that. Oh no, you did it again.
Back at it again. Here's the word of the day, everybody.
Crestomathy. All right. I don't know.
Yeah,
Leia's cool.
Leia's the best.
Her death sucked. Leia's death sucked, I thought.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the same way that Luke died, right?
Yeah.
Projecting herself, except she was doing some sort of thing with Han, right? She is what caused Han to come back, right?
She is?
She is what caused Han to come back and have that little thing with Kylo, right?
No.
She had to have been. There's no reason for Han to, right?
No.
What?
Because Leia died right after.
I know. That's what makes it confusing. She died before Han's scene.
Right. So her doing that made Kylo think of.
You think he's just
Han.
thinking of Han? He's not actually. No way. That had to be a Force
Or
thing.
no, yeah, yeah.
He says he's a
Sorry,
memory. I think Leia did it. I think
before
so.
she like what, like
I don't
some
know.
kind of Elsa thing where
It's some sort of poking in his mind and making him think of his dad, and that's her final act. It's a
that's a
lame way
ballsy
to
move.
it's a lame way to die. You know, I'm not gonna get into it, but it was a lame way for Luke to die.
Yeah,
It's just not satisfying. You know,
yeah.
I don't think they needed to kill Leia. You know, I feel like it really sucks that the first one Han dies, second one Luke dies, third one Leia dies. That really sucks that killed they killed everyone. In every movie they killed each of our characters that we love.
Great.
That sucks.
My favorite. Yeah, man. Like, if anything, this movie just made me appreciate the prequels.
Yeah.
Because at least it has a vision.
At least it's
cohesive.
Cohesive, yeah.
Yeah, like it's they're not perfect movies.
No.
But it's nice that you know, they had
someone was watching it the whole time.
Right.
Even with the original trilogy, right? That is 3 different directors for each film. But George was overlooking every single movie. He was very involved in the process for every movie. And I guess Kathleen Kennedy just doesn't. I don't know. I really don't know much about her, to be frank. So I don't know like what influence she has, but she doesn't seem to have the same vision as
and
someone else might.
Man, dude, I don't know if I just don't understand the Force or what, but there's some just things happening in this movie that I'm like, how?
I don't know. Everyone seems to be kind of superpowered in this movie.
Oh my gosh, dude!
I don't know why.
And from what training? Like,
don't they? They do reference it, and I don't remember what exactly. I think Palpatine says something.
No, Palpatine's like, I am all the Sith.
He says, "I'm all the Sith, and you're all the Jedi." I don't know why that is.
No,
and I guess that's buffing her up a lot and buffing him up a lot for some reason.
But also, right? He said, "If you strike me down, then you will absorb all the power of the Sith," and she kills him. Right? But what was
with his lightning though? It's a technicality.
Okay. So then also are all those all the Star Destroyers just have a really
let's start from the beginning.
Okay, yeah. Let's bring this back.
This movie starts with Kylo Ren finding a Sith artifact, and it's a Sith artifact that takes him to where Palpatine is, right?
Yes.
The movie literally starts, the opening crawl is the dead speak or the dead talk or whatever it is.
Yeah. Man, that credit
they just get rid of right at the bat. They're like, Palpatine's back, deal with it. No explanation ever in the movie. There's no explanation for how Palpatine is still alive.
No, and you know it's also great. That doesn't sound like a Palpatine move to me. Hey everyone, I'm back from the dead.
Yeah. No. So stupid. Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about the prequels is he's in the background, kind of just, you know,
he's orchestrating.
He's orchestrating everything. And then they kind of try to do that in this one because he's puppeteering Snoke. I don't. What is the deal with Snoke? Snoke is a clone of who? And he's being puppeted by. When they say, okay, so they say this, Snoke was a puppet. That's what Palpatine says. Does that mean that Palpatine was acting through Snoke, or that Snoke was a person, just a normal clone, and then Palpatine was like having him do whatever he wanted? Or was Palpatine actually inhabiting his body? You know what I'm saying? Was he inhabiting his body and actually acting through him, or was he just a guy that Palpatine had say over, I guess, for whatever reason?
I mean, yeah, some like the clones, right?
I don't know.
Or stormtroopers, right?
I don't know.
Clone troopers. Right?
They show like multiple clones of Snoke in a tub too. They're just chilling out
for
the visual side of why is he a clone, by the way? Why is he a clone? They don't ever use that. It's not like Snoke comes back as a clone in any way. Why did he need to be a clone? Why couldn't he just be a guy that Palpatine was? So him being a clone is totally pointless from the beginning, right? Yeah, so that's stupid. They introduced that concept though, and I thought, okay, Palpatine must be a clone then, because he doesn't have the scars. His fingers are messed up, and it looks like his body's messed up to some degree. But he doesn't have the scars anymore. He just looks like Ian McDiarmid, but he has pale skin and black lips. But then later on, when he absorbs Rey and Kylo, he gets the scars back, and he looks like Emperor Palpatine again. What was the deal with that?
I don't know. See, that would have been interesting if he was a clone.
It would have been It would have been an explanation, at least. We didn't even get to that.
Yeah,
he just happened to survive the Death Star exploding.
He didn't have anyone there to pick him up. You see him explode.
Yeah. I mean, we see the remnants of the Death Star in this movie. It crashed on a planet. He survived entering the atmosphere and all that stuff. Like, what? Crazy. And they don't offer an explanation. So Kylo gets to him, and Palpatine's like, "You're going to be my new Darth Vader now. You're going to be my new apprentice." Kylo's like, "Yeah, I guess, sure. I'm going to glue my helmet back together for no reason, and I'm not going to wear it for most of the movie anyway, so it doesn't matter."
Yeah.
That was the most blatant, like, gotta sell toys. Kylo Ren's gotta get a new helmet. You know what I mean? Like, it was so pointless.
Yeah, that's how I felt with the end of the movie as well.
And then we get this kind of almost it's not a montage, but it might as well have been, of our three heroes, Rey, Finn, and Poe, going from planet to planet to planet, finding thing after thing after thing. We got to go to this place to get to this dagger in the sand place. And also, what's it called? Woodstock is going on at the same time. Burning Man, whatever it is.
Some festival.
Lando happens to be there. Why was Lando in this movie? What did he contribute?
He's like, "Oh, my flying days are over." And then he's up in the Millennium Falcon.
I love Billy D. Williams. I love Lando. It was great to see him again. He might as well have not been in this film. He doesn't have anyone to work off of.
Nope.
All of his friends are dead.
Nope. He's got Chewie.
Yeah. During that sand planet, you think Chewie dies for a second. And I was kind of almost on board with that, actually. I was like, oh, no, that sucks. But then I was like, oh, well, that's a consequence. You know? That's like she force lightninged it and the ship blew up. It's like, oh, wow. That's pretty dark if Rey killed Chewie.
Right.
You know? But no, he's alive. He's fine.
They did something with C-3PO.
They did the same thing with C-3PO. C-3PO, we need to erase your memory. He's like, I'm going to take one last look at my friends. These people I don't know. I'm not very familiar with any of you. What's your name? Flynn? I love you all. You're my best friends. This is the accent that C-3PO has, right?
Yes. Hello, puppet.
They erase his memory, and then R2's like, dude, it's cool. I got to back up. All right. Well, that lost all weight. But they keep having to like, oh, I translate this text on the knife. Oh, but we got to go to this planet to unlock that in your head. And it's all just so, it all feels so superfluous. It's like, it feels like we're wasting time, honestly, which is weird because there's so much other stuff crammed in this movie. Okay. Getting into things I liked, we're around this time, right? We've gotten to this planet. We're unlocking C-3PO's head. We're introduced to this new character. She has a past with Poe. I kind of wish they had gotten into that a little bit more. Might have been some cutscenes there too, because very quickly we go from she's about to shoot him in the head to, hey, you should come with me. Let's hang out.
Right, yeah.
Very quick.
That jump was a bit jarring.
Yeah, but I liked her. She was funny. She had some spunk, and the whole, can I kiss you? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was really funny. And the payoff to that at the end was fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, that was great.
That was the funniest moment of the movie by far. He looks at her, he's like, and she's like, he's like, okay.
That's great.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Some of the humor, man, there's moments where it's like it was a good joke, but they just needed more patience with it. There's one that's great, where they fell into the sand and they're in those caves. More pointless stuff.
Yeah.
They find a worm in there that Rey heals, and that's how we introduce the healing thing. All right, whatever.
The worm should have just like eaten her right after.
I wish.
That would have been great.
there's that moment they fall down, and I think Poe yells out, "Ray, uh, I don't know, BB-8, right? Ray, BB-8, are you okay?" And then C3PO's like, "You didn't ask for me, sir, but I am okay too." It's like that's really funny, but they do it. It's so quick. He says, "Ray, da da da," and then immediately 3PO says the line. If they had waited a second, had 3PO walk around the corner after a couple seconds, and he says that same exact line, it would have been a lot funnier. That it's immediate. It's just the timing of some of these jokes is not as good as it could be,
Yeah.
because they don't have the patience, because they don't trust the audience, I guess. Um, uh, one more important thing happens is they go to the Star Destroyer to save Chewie. Another freaking thing we got to do. Another objective. And while they're there, they had a great revelation with what's the general guy? I don't even know his name. The red-haired guy.
The spy.
You know who I'm talking? The spy. Yeah. What's his name? You remember? Hux. General Hux. That's his name. They had a great revelation that he's the spy. And I thought that was awesome because I hate his character in The Last Jedi, especially. He's fine in Force Awakens. Last Jedi, for whatever reason, they turn him up to 11 and make him super cartoony and stupid.
Right? Doesn't he just get like thrown around a bunch?
Yeah, yeah. And in this one, he's kind of he's resentful of Kylo Ren's rule. He kind of wants to be the one in charge, I guess. So he is the spy for the Resistance, and I think that's great. It's actually a really cool way for his character to go, that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And I like that he's killed immediately too by the other general guy, because that establishes immediately this guy doesn't mess around. I liked him. I thought he was a good character. I wanted more of him. I don't know if was he in the last movie, the kind of new commander guy.
I don't know.
I didn't recognize him, but I wanted more of him because I actually really liked his character and his performance in this.
Yeah,
he was kind of like a Moff Tarkin type character.
Right. Yeah, I really like that scene where he shot.
It was great
Hux.
because he's immediately like, "I don't believe a word you're saying. You're dead."
Right.
That was fantastic. Another important thing that happens in there is we get more. Well, I think before this too, we get more kind of scenes where Kylo and Rey are talking to each other. They're like, it's that thing where they're in two different places and they see each other. I like all these scenes in The Last Jedi. They're my favorite parts of The Last Jedi, and they're really good in this movie too. For whatever reason. So it's weird though, because I thought they established in The Last Jedi that Snoke was the one who was doing that, right? Didn't they do that?
So I guess it was the Emperor.
It was the Emperor, but no, but he's not. He's not doing it because they use it against him. So he's not doing it. It's just some connection that they have, which I'm fine with, but The Last Jedi kind of contradicts that a bit, I think.
Yeah.
It's weird. But I like all those scenes in this movie, and I like how they establish that they can trade objects between each other. I think that's awesome. Kylo uses it to his advantage to try to find her, and then at the end they're using it to kind of team up.
Right.
And I thought that was awesome.
No,
I thought that was so cool.
I really like that.
But yeah, we have that great scene where Kylo's giving her his hand one more time, right? Join me. Let's do this together. And she says no again. She leaves. And then at the end, she has that great line. She's like, "I wanted to take your hand, but I wanted to take Ben's hand."
Yeah. Oh, man.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Fantastic. That's not even in the end. That's when they go to the Death Star.
And then she takes his ship.
Yeah. Is there anything else before the Death Star that's important that happens?
Yeah, Rose is incredibly essential to everything happening here.
Oh man. Okay, so it is things like this, right, are just a major middle finger to Rian Johnson.
I know. Yeah, no, there's some big middle fingers in this movie.
I feel bad for the actor though, for Rose. I mean, to be sidelined that much is pretty bad. When you're when you're introduced in the last movie as like a new, like in the last movie, it's kind of set up that she's part of the team now, that she's part of the gang. And then in this movie, they're like, every time they got to go on a mission, they're like, "Rose, you stay here." They
I
don't
know.
say that, but they might as well have been,
Well,
you
I know.
know?
Yeah, every time she's like, "Yeah, no, you guys do that. I'm just gonna stay here and work." You can just see the pain in her eyes.
Yeah, yeah. You guys got another chair in the cockpit? Oh, no? Okay. I guess I'll stay
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I can do things.
It's cool. I
down
got
here.
Leia here. Oh, she's. She had no one to work off of. She's talking to a phantom, you know? Some really
Yeah.
awkward. They try to do some humor with Leia too that just doesn't work because it's not written for that, for the line she
Yeah.
says. I forgot this at the very beginning of the movie. I was actually stoked when they revealed the Emperor because he says the line that he says in Revenge of the Sith. I love that they paid this kind of homage to the prequels in such a big way like this. He says, I don't even remember what the lead into it was because I don't think it was that great, but I'm still glad they did it. Kylo says something, and then the Emperor says, "Dark side is a pathway to many abilities that some consider unnatural."
Yeah.
Great line from the prequels. It's fantastic. I love that they used it here. But then from then on, the Emperor is kind of just whatever. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
I feel like this was what they did with the Emperor was like what they did with is it Blofeld and Spectre, right? Is that his name?
Who's Blofeld? I don't know. I don't know names in James Bond.
Christopher, what's his name?
Oh, Christoph Waltz.
Waltz, yeah. Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, all those other movies, I was the one pulling the
Yeah,
strings.
yeah.
It's like,
well,
wait,
100% that is what it is. I mean,
like,
you could. The thing is, even though it's not set up in The Force Awakens, you could have had things in The Last Jedi leading up to that. You could have had hints. You could have even had at the end a revelation that Palpatine is the one behind it all. But because we have this weird thing where Rian Johnson's the director of the second one, he wasn't doing that. We have this weird thing where this movie just kind of starts with that revelation that kind of should have been a revelation at the end of the last movie.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
It is. Because the payoff for the Emperor, if it was set up correctly and they had
could be cool
enough explanations, it could have been cool.
It's stupid no matter what that he would survive that, but you could do something. It's the Force. The Force saved him, whatever. So we get to the Death Star, the fallen Death Star. That's where we're introduced to that new deserter character. Rey uses a sextant or something to calculate exactly where she needs to go to find the Emperor's office. And did you understand what was going on in this scene? Because she pulls this thing out and it's got a red pointy thing, and she's like using it on the Death Star, and then she gets to a spot and the red thing's pointing at a thing, and she's like, "That's where I need to go." And I'm like, no, I don't even like. I was expecting it to be like a video game, like an Uncharted or something, where something lines up perfectly, and it's like, oh, okay, it's like finishing that or whatever it is. But
no,
I was not.
That's what that was.
I think that's what it was supposed to be, but it wasn't obvious, and it's extremely lucky that the fallen Death Star that is mostly destroyed would still even be able to be used with this thing.
Right. Especially with those waves.
The waves, barely any of it's exposed. This is just pieces of the Death Star. How much of it is in separate places? I mean,
yeah.
Whatever. It's it's just we got to go here.
Yeah.
Just trust me.
It'd be a Palpatine move if you wanted to keep this like uncharted planet secret. Don't have any of those things that lead to it.
Probably be good. Yeah.
Maybe just have it like word of mouth or something. Who do you need
to tell?
Don't broadcast it out to the world. Who was the designer?
That really is one of the worst things in this movie, is that Palpatine is broadcasting that he's back and all this stuff. It's like, why would you do that before you've secured your victory?
Right?
It doesn't make any sense.
No. You know what he would have done, I feel like, and you can correct me if you disagree.
Please do.
He should have already had the fleet ready to go, and then he broadcast it because it's already too late. I mean, he shouldn't have even if he were to broadcast at all, which he shouldn't.
Sure, yeah.
But like in what was it? uh, uh God, what's 6? What's it called?
Return of the
The Return
Jedi.
of the Jedi, right? He was the one who had sent the message about the Death Star,
He was the one that
right?
so some spies stole the Death Star plans again, and most of them died. A few got back and got the plans back. He allowed that to happen.
Right.
He orchestrated that to happen so that he
Right.
could take out the fleet all at once.
Exactly. So that if he were to send out a broadcast, it's all to orchestrate something else. But for this, it's just like, why did you even
It
do that?
feels pointless.
Because
The only reason is so that Kylo Ren can be lured in. I think that's the point of it. But I don't really see why he needs Kylo Ren, to be honest.
he doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he does.
No. And okay, why? Okay, wait, no. Keep going with the
All
Death
right,
Star
yeah.
thing.
So we're on the Death Star. We get this bit that is very. It was teased in the trailer, and its payoff is super lame.
Wow,
So,
yeah, it is pretty lame.
Yeah, we're teased in the trailer that there's like a dark side Rey, and she's got a dual bladed lightsaber. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, it's just, and this is what a lot of people were worried about, that it would be a Force vision, and that's all it was. And it was short. It was incredibly short. Maybe if it had gone longer, and if there were some cool back and forth between her and Rey, it could have been a really cool internal struggle type of thing, fighting yourself. Very, Empire Strikes,
Classic.
or Empire Strikes Back when Luke is fighting Vader. But it's so short. I mean, it has no, cut that from the movie, you lose nothing.
Yeah.
Really. And it's she does like a weird hissing thing where her teeth get all pointy, and it's like, that was so stupid.
Yeah.
That's not even a Sith thing. It's so lame. Make her eyes yellow, Could have been cool. She stumbles back, and then her and Kylo have what is essentially the final fight of the film. We have a final fight, but I mean, this is kind of the big lightsaber fight of the movie, I guess you could say. And it's kind of reminiscent of Mustafar a little bit. You're replacing lava with waves, and you're getting them fighting on, a couple different platforms and things of that nature. It's cool. It's very weighted feeling. It's not. I kind of wanted it to be more flashy because I love the prequel fights. I think they're really cool, especially Phantom Menaces and Revenge of the Siths.
Yeah.
And these two are really powered up Force users, apparently. So it would have been cool to see them go all out, but we don't really get that. We get a kind of very realistic, almost kind of sword fight rather than a lightsaber fight with wizards.
Yeah. Because like early in the film, right, they have this like force struggle over the transport that supposedly Chewie was in, right?
Right.
So
and that
like,
alone is like pretty impressive compared to what we've seen in the past.
right.
Yeah.
So like I would have expected, some like, I mean, they're doing these big jumps, I guess.
They did, yeah, they did one. I liked that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I really like that shot of like Rey makes the jump and then she looks back and all you see are the waves.
Yeah.
And then you just see this like, you see the faint glow of his
that was
Kylo's
great.
lightsaber. Yeah, no. There's some really good directing moments.
It's not a
like
bad
that.
fight. It's very, like I said, it's very weighted, kind of more realistic. It's still a cool fight. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not super memorable.
No. I like that Rey pushed Finn away.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah. Well, she's doing it for his own protection,
right?
Too. She's thinking of him, but yeah, I like that. Rey, all he does in this movie.
But he has the Force. He feels it.
So Leia kind of came in with a dick move. She yells Ben, and he gets distracted, and then Rey kills him. I don't know what she was thinking. She was like, right before she died, she's like, oh crap, that's not what I wanted.
Whoops, I feel him slip.
Did she know that Rey was going to be able to heal him? I mean, I thought that was really dumb. I understand because it's confusing. Either she is what instigated Han coming back and having that moment, or she wasn't. I'm going to assume she was.
Okay.
It's still weird that she shouts Ben so that Rey can kill him. Because obviously that wasn't the plan with Han kind of talking him down and being like, you should come back to the light, my son.
It's like she had the whole speech laid out, and then she's like, "Oh my god, he's gone already."
Rey, you're crazy. I should have never taught you. So I don't like that because it's just weird. I don't understand what her goal was. But Rey bounces, and I like this moment. It's not great that Han came back, but they make the he's not a Force ghost. They make the point of saying that he's a memory or something of that nature. So it's okay, cool. We're not doing Han Solo as a Force ghost. That'd be stupid. It's a good moment when he turns to the light. He throws his lightsaber away. I like all that. I'm glad we got a healthy amount of this film of Kylo being on the light side. It's expected, and I guess that's the negative thing about it, is that it's, these are the things you expect to happen. But this is the trajectory we were on, so it's, what can you even do at this point? Either he stays bad and he dies, or he stays good and he dies. There's no in between. There's not much else you can do. So, but I liked, with that being said, and it being kind of expected, it's still cool. I like his turn, and I like seeing him as a good guy.
Me too.
Yeah, because Kylo is one of the best characters in this whole trilogy, possibly the best.
Yeah, I would agree.
So it was nice to see, at least.
When he did turn to the light side and he was Ben Solo, like, I really kind of odd, but I liked his facial expressions.
Yeah, well, he changed.
He changed. Yeah.
You see it in his face.
You see it.
That's what makes it effective, and that's kind of
right.
Credits to Adam Driver for being a versatile actor like that.
Yeah, dude, Adam Driver was
got a big
killing
nose.
it in this movie.
I don't even. So where do we go after that? I don't remember.
Well, I mean, Rey hijacks Kylo's ship, and
we go back to
and then it's off on the meandering thing. She she goes to that planet that Luke was on, right? And then she's like burning everything, and then she
what a
burns
pointless
the ship,
side thing, right?
right? And then she she gets the lightsaber, is about to throw it, and Luke catches it, and he's like, "You gotta treat this weapon with respect, or something."
Another
just another F you,
Adam or Ryan
Adam
Johnson. Ryan Johnson.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. There's
it's too on the nose,
I know.
It's way too on the nose.
I know, but I also, like, as much as it is, like, I find it kind of funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It is funny. It just sucks that we're like having directors quabble with each other in the movies.
I know. Oh my gosh. Like, every time Rose was on screen, I was just like, I was laughing, man.
Yeah.
It was like,
what does she have? 3 minutes of screen time?
Yeah, like,
if
barely.
Even.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
it's
my
pretty
gosh.
bad.
It's bad.
So yeah, we have her pointlessly go to that planet so she can say, "I'm gonna go exile myself because I suck and I'm giving up, I guess." And Luke's like, "Yeah, no, that's not what you should do."
Yeah.
Didn't you kind of get the gist of that from the last movie, that what I did was a mistake? Yeah. We get him lift the X-Wing out, which is cool. Nod to Empire. He's able to do it.
Right?
It's
yeah.
cool.
I don't mind that.
I don't love the idea of Force ghosts interacting with the real world, to be honest, but it's through the Force, so I guess, okay, you get a little bit of... You could argue that when he catches the lightsaber, he's not actually grabbing it, he's using the Force to, like...
God, the biggest... God, what's that word? Is it Trump? Is that the word?
Trump card?
Yeah, like, how'd they do it? The Force.
The Force, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. Works with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get that pointless thing, and then we go on to... I don't remember are we in the finale now? Did we go to the finale? Is this the third act?
Yeah, because
it must be.
Rey gets this ship, and then she sends broadcast because they don't know where the planet is, or the Resistance. So they're like, "Oh, we're getting a broadcast from Luke." And then you see, oh wait, it's Rey.
It's Rey.
She's alive.
Even though, by the way, in The Last Jedi, we see the X-Wing at the bottom of the ocean, and it doesn't look I need to go back and check it. I'm pretty sure it is like all busted up and broken, but
No,
when he
it's
rises out, it's pretty pristine.
well, you know how he did that?
Of
The
course.
Force.
So I guess yeah, we're in the third act now. We get a huge space fight, but I gotta say, really lame.
Yeah, it's
They don't actually show the space fight. They show all these ships come in, right? They're losing. It's very, all hope is lost. And then all these Lando comes with all these ships. Where did he get them? Who knows? It's a lot.
yeah,
Thousands of ships.
they
Thousands of ships. But we never actually see them. We don't see any action. Am I wrong? I don't think we actually
no,
get to
it's
see the fight at all. We just see close-ups on characters as they're either losing or winning. Kind of pretty lame.
yeah, it's weird. I feel like there wasn't a good job of establishing like I guess the gravity of situations or like the scale. Like
Yeah,
there
it's yeah,
there are
yeah,
all of
yeah,
these just star destroyers with this powerful weapon, right?
yeah.
But like I still feel like the threat wasn't even there that much because they're like,
It's
oh well,
well,
we
this
can't leave until
these
we have the beacon that allows us to leave.
these stakes are as high as they have ever been in Star higher than they've ever been because every one of these ships is a Death Star basically, right? But you don't feel the impact of that the way it's done in the film. You feel the impact of it in Star Wars in the original films.
Right.
Um, I'd argue even with Force Awakens, even though it's a rehash and pretty lame that they did its Death Star again, you still kind of feel the need to okay, we still got to destroy this thing. With the Star Destroyers, they blow up that planet that we went to earlier in the film. It's just so it's like I think the thing that makes it so lame to me is how uncreative it is. You know, it's like, oh, what do we do? We gotta have some way to raise the stakes, right? I'll just put a Death Star laser on every Star Destroyer. It
Yeah.
just feels so lame to me, you know?
Right. And also, right, if you're gonna have a weapon like that, you're probably gonna want to like reinforce it. Like you don't want it to be easily
Just
destroyed.
yeah.
But they just got it hanging down the bottom of the ship, and then you can fire a few shots and it's done.
Yeah, the
It's like
bottom is arguably the worst place to
it's
put it too because they have all the turrets and stuff on the top, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just exposed.
Yeah. No, it's so dumb. I mean, find something else, honestly.
Right?
Palpatine alone could have been enough, I think, especially with the powers he had in this
Right?
movie.
Because like,
Okay, I got to say, at the beginning of the movie, he's the one he lifts all these Star Destroyers up with the Force, right? He does that. They're not raising on their own, right? I think it even shows his hand move and then it shows all the Star Destroyers coming up through rock,
or
right?
there's just a bunch of pilots. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, he gave the signal.
He gave the signal. It doesn't matter because later on we see him use the Force in crazy ways, right? The lightning that he uses.
God,
It's just, it's,
dude. What drop did the base drop when he like shot?
did
It's
it?
lightning? Because dude,
I believe
I
it.
remember the sound effect just being like insane
Yeah.
right before he shot his hand up
Yeah.
and he drops all the ships from the sky.
Yeah. It's to a point where it's like, is this really where we're going with Star Wars? We're making these characters this powerful. It just feels dumb that they're at this level of power and it feels overpowered.
Right,
It
'cause,
feels like
I
it's
mean
just too much. You compare this to the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, and it's like this is the same character.
Yeah, Yoda, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things for me is that with Palpatine specifically, I really feel like he wasn't done even close to justice. He
No,
didn't even feel like the character to me.
no.
Really, he felt
That's
like a shadow of Palpatine
right, and that's why I think the clone angle could have worked. Because like if you're
potentially.
experimenting with that kind of technology, right? Like if if that version of Palpatine, like the OG version of Palpatine, died
Yeah.
on the Death Star, that would have made sense. I mean that
Yes.
is
That's
what
that's what
happened.
happened. That is what happened.
Right? So like with him coming in this film and just like, oh, he's attached to equipment.
Yeah.
It's like that
Like a portal type. you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got major Portal vibes.
GLaDOS, yeah.
GLaDOS, yeah.
Gosh.
No, I think it sucks, honestly. He just feels like a I mean, it's funny because you look at Return of the Jedi and there's not much to Palpatine in that movie. He is just kind of a big bad guy, and
He knows how to orchestrate things, right?
they show that a little bit with the spies. We get more of it in the prequels. His character is so fleshed out in the prequels.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks that we regressed him so much in this movie.
Yeah. Dang. Because
If he was a real character, if he had more going on, and we really saw more of him, and just him as a person, and maybe he has an arc, even dare I say.
you're crazy.
It's crazy because even Return of the Jedi, right? I feel like he had more depth in that movie, and
Who,
and he
Palpatine?
didn't. Yeah, and he didn't have much
Okay, yeah.
in
Sorry.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he had more depth in that.
Yeah.
At
Okay.
least, I think he served his purpose more because the point of Palpatine is to facilitate the whole Vader and Luke relationship, right?
Right.
Vader is such a full character, and part of that is because of Palpatine, because he has this master who's got him on a leash, right? In this movie, it doesn't really. It kind of facilitates the Kylo Rey relationship, but not a lot. It's just a common enemy, I guess. But I don't know. I really didn't like what they did with him, and the whole, even the way she beat him, I thought was kind of dumb.
Yeah. Okay. Because like, let's think about it. Right. He just shot up
Yeah,
this like huge lightning bolt thing that took out
all
all the
these
ships. Right.
all of them.
He redirects all that energy toward her, and she's just
Able
got
to
a
block it
lightsaber.
with one hand. She's able to block it with the lightsaber. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess you're showing it, so it must be the case. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then she
And
two. She brings out two lightsabers. I don't know. I thought that was dumb. I just like, of all the creative ways you could have done this, I even doing it through the Force, I think would have worked better. And I'm usually like the lightsaber guy, but I think it would have worked better if this was a Force fight instead of a lightsaber one.
Oh, that
If she was repelling,
right.
kind of what Yoda does in the prequels, you know, he does that. He kind of is able to gather the energy of the Force, lightning. If she had done something like that, or was even just using the Force to repel it back at him, maybe even that would have been better. The double lightsaber thing felt dumb. That's like, does that? Are you doing anything right now? Is this reflective of your power at all? You know what I mean?
She should have just been like backflipping endlessly,
right?
Dodging all the lightning. Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah.
We get a Kylo fight with the Knights of Ren. I don't think the choreography was very good for this fight. I think the Knights of Ren suck. I don't know why they were in this movie.
Yeah,
I remember people, they're introduced briefly in the first movie, The Force Awakens, and I know people were like, "Oh, what's the deal with them?" And we don't get that answered in this movie. They're just in the movie.
Yeah,
that's all.
They're in the movie for Kylo to kill.
They don't have like a back and forth with him at all. We're not like, I don't know what his relationship with them really is. Their design kind of sucks, and their weapons are lame. I don't know. They. You know what I mean? Like, they really don't have anything going on for them.
Yeah, double whammy.
Boba Fett at least looked cool, you know? Yeah. Like, wow. And their fight wasn't well choreographed, so.
Oh, yeah.
It had nothing going on for it. That moment when Rey and Kylo both activate their lights, they both have blue lightsabers. She has Leia's, he has Anakin's.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Right.
That was really cool.
Oh, damn. When
I loved that. I wish it went somewhere, but
right. I know that moment where like she's confronted with Palpatine, right, and she's about to give in.
Yeah,
like she is.
Well, because to save her friends, but yeah, she's about to do it.
Right,
yeah.
And then she and Kylo have that connection, and then she sees that he's where she is.
Yeah.
And then she gives him the lightsaber, and he reaches back.
That was a great moment.
Oh my gosh,
that was a great moment.
That was sick.
I really wish I wish everything around it was better. Right. But there's these moments that are like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. And like, man, I wish Ben was around more.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think he needed to die, honestly.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Um, and like I don't get how like I don't get how he lived either. Like he definitely like either
The
he
Force, dude.
I
He used the Force.
yeah. Yeah, now that he's good, he can he has access to different kinds of abilities with the Force.
No, yeah, I like Ben too. I like the way he came off, even the way when he's talking to Ray. You know, it's like, oh, he's a different person now. This
Yeah.
is cool. This is
Yeah,
really cool.
dang.
And they kissed. That was kind of weird.
That was kind
That
of
felt.
weird.
That felt.
That
There's a lot of things in this movie that feel fan fictiony,
fiction,
and
yeah.
that's one of them.
Oh man, yeah, I thought that too.
Well, that's why I was so
Ooh.
sure Finn and Poe were gonna kiss.
That's so funny, dude. Like, oh my gosh. If I had known the information that you had going into it, I would have
you might have thought the
I would
same
have thought
too.
the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But I
Maybe there's a deleted scene.
right? Because in was it Force Awakens? Wasn't Finn kind of into Rey? Is that kind of how they were playing
it's
it
so
off?
funny. Yeah, that went nowhere, but there is he asks her like they do like a funny bit where he's like, "So you got a boyfriend? You got a boyfriend?"
Yeah,
Which
hilarious.
infers that he's
Dang, dude! In that first movie, he is so like
He's so
I swear to
intolerable.
God, he just like
he's the worst.
he just did a bunch of like 5-hour energies and like
Yeah.
shotgun a Red Bull. He's like, yeah, let's film this scene.
I got this. I know my character.
my-
I have one note.
Gosh, yeah, he is so frantic.
Yeah, he's better in this movie. I think everyone's better in this movie. I
yeah.
like Finn, I like Poe, and I like Rey in this movie, which is
Mhm.
way more than I can say about the last one. And even the first one.
Yeah, no, the dynamic feels like there's actually something there.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't give Poe or Finn really anything to do, which sucks, but
Well, they, he's like
it's like Han with Return of the Jedi, you know. He had already had his arc and now he doesn't have much to do besides just roll the plot along, you know.
Yep.
The arc is done. It's so funny though with the Rose stuff too, because they don't even, as the final FU to Ryan Johnson, they don't even hug or do anything at the end of the movie. It's their relationship is non-existent.
Yeah,
in this
it fizzled
film.
out.
She says I love you, and I think they both kiss at the end of the Last Jedi. And then in this one, it's not even addressed. They just don't have anything going on. It's weird, and that's where I'm saying like the FUs to Ryan Johnson feel a bit too much at times because like it's jarring to go from the Last Jedi to this movie and have all these things that are not quite lining up. One of the biggest ones for me was, besides Palpatine, of course, was Rey's parentage. They addressed that she's the granddaughter of Palpatine in this one, and that doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, it feels pointless to me. It's just a reason that Palpatine can inherit her body, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's they in Last Jedi, it's like I'm alone. It's just me. It's no one. And then in this one, from the get go, they start dropping hints like, oh no, she's someone. I don't know. No, who is she?
Yeah, throughout the movie she has that. Oh, I feel like a lot of people say that they know me, but they really don't.
They don't know me.
They don't know me, man.
There's forced conflict between the trio in this movie. Excuse me, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no,
it leads nowhere. There's no like separation of any church and state or anything. It's they have conflict and that's it. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
that's that's another thing, dude. There had to be a deleted scene where they all that went somewhere. You know?
You would think.
I feel like there's another one where because like I had to read this to pick up on it, but after they said it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. The whole Poe or Finn, I get their names mixed up. The whole Finn, I have to tell you something, is that he has the Force, right? That's what he needed to tell her. So I'm guessing there's a deleted scene where they have a conversation, and then in the final cut, they're like, "Oh, we'll just leave it more vague and keep it that way." I actually don't mind that. If you're gonna do it, I'd rather it be vague than the whole conversation. I will say, like, as far as redoing things again, it's like, okay, they reveal Leia has the Force and that she's the sister of Luke in Return of the Jedi, kind of doing the same thing with Finn in this one. You
Yeah.
know, we're doing the whole like even like the whole uh Palpatine showing Luke the whole his friends dying out the window. We have that same moment in this one where he opens up the sky and he lets Rey see all her friends dying. There's a lot of stuff, and it's not. I like it sometimes where it's an echo, but it's not quite the same. They did that a
Mhm.
lot in the prequels. In these movies, it feels way more direct, and it's hard
Yeah.
not to, especially when it's the same character doing it. It's like it's hard not to
Well, like
see it.
I would just like to imagine
Yeah.
if they had none of those movies to work off of from the past, right? You're starting with
Where do you start?
this trilogy, right?
Yeah.
How much of what would they do?
I mean,
Like,
if you came up with J.J. Abrams came up with Star Wars without Star Wars existing before, it would be. It'd be completely different. It wouldn't. There'd be no similarities.
Right? None.
None. Yeah. But instead, yeah, we get this. We got to get back to the status quo. We got to introduce all this stuff again. We got to get what you like, but a little bit different.
Gosh, yeah, because I will have to say though, J.J. Abrams was kind of put in a situation that he couldn't really win. I feel.
Yeah, but he could have done better than this. I'll say.
No, he could have done
Yeah.
better. But like being attached to this movie, right? You're working with Disney, right? Who is going to be funding your movie, and they're gonna have creative decisions. I mean, that one chick, right, who's in charge of it, she
Kathleen
went into this.
Kennedy, yeah.
She went into this without she had no vision
There was no
for the
roadmap.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And that's not good because if you're gonna make a trilogy and you want to have a big payoff, you need to start planting the seeds in the earlier films.
Yeah.
Because then when it all comes to fruition, then the payoff feels it just feels more natural, and like the audience can pick up on it enough that it's not a dead giveaway, like in the original trilogy, right? With Vader.
Being Luke's father.
Right.
Yeah. There are hints of it in it's funny because they didn't know they were going to do that in A New Hope, but it works so well because there are hints of it in A New Hope.
Right.
There's I don't want him to be like his father, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and we got Obi-Wan being like, Luke asks him how his father died, and Obi-Wan's like, well, your father was, he like, there's all these little things that make it believable so that when you get to Empire and he says that line, I am your father, it's like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Right.
And you could have done that actually planning it in this trilogy.
Yes.
And have that payoff and it feel natural and it feel good. And the audience is like, great, this is fantastic. I feel satisfied. But instead we just get a lot of fan service. I think that's one of the big problems with this movie. It's trying to please everyone, trying to have a lot of fan service.
Yep.
Get Palpatine in there at the end because he's the big bad guy in the prequels. In the original trilogy, I guess we got to have him for the end too. He's just so dumbed down; it's hard to like it. But things I did like I said, I liked the trio in this movie more than any other. And I liked Kylo. I liked his turn in this movie, even if maybe it could have been more creative. I still like the way it was done, and I like Adam Driver. All the Kylo Ray stuff I really like. There's stuff to like in this movie. There's some good action, not great. I don't know if there's any great action in this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like the best one is probably the Kylo Ray fight, and that's pretty toned down.
Yeah.
I did like when they're fighting while they're in two different places. I thought that was really cool and really creative.
Oh yeah,
and that's also how
the directing was well done.
Yeah, very well done. She hits the Vader statue and it falls, and that's how he knows where she is. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
That's good.
I thought she starts approaching the Vader helmet. I thought she was gonna touch it and have a Force vision of Anakin. I started getting really excited.
The boner started.
Yeah, that did not happen though. At the end of the movie, we do get a really cool scene where she looks at the sky and she hears all the voices of all these characters, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. I wish you would have gone further. I wish we would have actually seen them
Yeah.
do it Avatar: The Last Airbender style. We have all the Force ghosts pop up behind her, and
Oh
she's like,
man.
man, that would have made the Palpatine thing so much. Even if they did it exactly the same way, that would have made it way more satisfying. If she's like, I don't know what she would have said, but my friends are my power, and then all the Force ghosts pop up behind her.
They all just
Something.
like
I'm not a writer, but something better than that. But she says something, and then all the Force ghosts pop up behind her, and Palpatine gets overwhelmed by his own lightning. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
And I would have screamed. That would have been so cool. I really, really, really wanted to see Anakin in this movie. I'm very disappointed we didn't. I am glad we
Yeah.
got to hear him. He spoke 3 times, I think, in that whole scene. So that was cool. That was really good. We got Qui-Gon, which was freaking awesome. Love that. Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, Yoda. Some weird characters that I don't know why they were in there. We got Ayla Secura, who, you know who that is? She's a blue Twi'lek Jedi. She gets she's one of the
Oh wait, yeah.
she gets gunned down in Order
Yeah,
66.
Order 66, yep.
I don't know why she was in there, but she was. We got another Order 66 person, I think. She's a female Jedi. I don't even remember her name. We got what's it? Kanan from Rebels, which that's awesome. We got Ahsoka from Clone Wars. I didn't pick up on that. I'm gonna have to, when it comes out on YouTube or whatever, I'm gonna have to look at that again. But that's freaking awesome that Ahsoka is kind of in a real Star Wars movie, because she's basically the main character of the Clone Wars cartoon. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that scene was really cool. It just, would have been more effective if we saw them. Even if it was just Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin, that alone would have been
Oof.
so good. Or probably throw Yoda in there too, but that would have been great. And it's too bad we didn't get it. I don't know. I assume they talked about it at one point and just decided not to do voices instead. But we got something.
Yeah. Well, because if they had done that right, they would have had to do some kind of de-aging thing.
De-aging or makeup or whatever. You got the blue of the Force Ghost hue. I think it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Especially with Anakin. He's aged pretty well, honestly.
So would they? But if
so is Obi-Wan, actually.
Right. But if they did that, would Leia need to be there? Like who?
Nah.
I
mean, she could be. She was at the end.
But okay, wait.
I actually really liked that.
Yeah.
At the end when they show Luke and Leia there together, that was the best use of Leia in the whole movie.
Yeah.
She was just standing there.
Yeah, and who's it? Rey now has a new lightsaber.
Yep. Too bad we didn't get to see that in the movie because it's really cool.
Yeah.
The first yellow lightsaber we see in a live action Star Wars film. The first lightsaber that's not blue, green, or red or purple.
Right. But okay. Fallen Order, right?
Yes.
They have to have a crystal.
Right. It's the Force.
Yeah.
She got it from somewhere. Yeah. She got it. She went.
Okay. So
she went to the planet where they get the
right?
crystals, and she did
It
that.
would have been cool, right?
To see that.
No. Yeah. No. Like in Force.
Midway through the movie, dude. That would have been awesome.
No. In Force Awakens, right? Let's say she was a nobody, right? Like that's what she has, but all she has is this crystal.
Yeah.
Right. And then at the end, that's what she puts in her lightsaber.
Mm.
That would have been dope.
Yeah. Could have been cool. They oh dude, I mean, there's so many good ones, but one of the best parts of Return of the Jedi is when Luke does that flip, R2 shoots his lightsaber at him, and then he activates it and the green comes out. It's like,
oh yeah, that's
you could have had a moment like that in this movie, where Rey does that with her yellow one, and it would have been a homage, but I would have been totally cool with it.
Nah, she's like, let's bury the past of the last Jedi.
Yeah. I'm fine with her burying. The thing is, I think that would actually be better if it was actually Luke's lightsaber, but it's not, it's Anakin's. That's the kind of weird thing about it. She buries Anakin and Leia's lightsaber. It'd make more sense if it was Luke's green lightsaber and Leia's, but I guess, sure.
Why? Why does she do that?
I don't know. It's kind of a nice little memorial thing. I don't mind that. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a
I
fine way to end the movie.
I liked how she slid down a sled.
Yeah, that was cute.
That was
Remember
great.
that in Force Awakens? She did that. Yeah. That lady asked her, who are you? And she says, I'm a Skywalker. It's like, you don't get to decide that.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of weird. I thought that was a weird
What
thing.
would have been really great is like, who are you? And then Rey just like turns evil and just kills her.
Just kills her, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm a mother.
She pulls out the
Palpatine.
lights. I'm a mother freaking Palpatine. and then it cuts to credits. Rage Against the Machine starts playing.
Yeah, like she's doing like this rage face, and then it just like does the circle close on her face. That'd have been great. It's not too late, guys.
Oh, but that lady, I was gonna say too, she rides in on a camel looking thing. It's a new creature. I don't think we've seen it before. The weird thing is, we already have a camel creature in Star Wars on Tatooine.
Right.
It's in the prequels. It's Eniope.
Listen.
I don't know why she wasn't riding that.
It's a different breed.
It's not. It had like feathers or something. That's like a super minor thing, but it's like I just don't understand why wasn't she riding Eniope? You've acknowledged the prequels actually quite a lot in this film, which I appreciate. Well, why not go all the way?
I don't know. Listen, we got to sell.
That's more, going all the way is having a camel creature.
We got to sell more toys, man.
Yeah, right. You think they're gonna sell that toy? They might with that lady. Yeah.
I mean, all the creatures on that planet Luke was on, right?
Yeah.
What are they called? I want to say pierogi. That's not it.
It's something like that. Yes. I don't know. They were toys. They were there to sell toys. I liked okay, I really, really like this is a huge acknowledgement of the prequels. When Anakin talks, one of the things he says is bring balance to the Force like I did, or like I once did, whatever it is. That is awesome. That is a huge modern canonical admission of the prophecy, of the Chosen One prophecy from the prequels. And it's what Anakin fulfilled when he finally killed Palpatine in Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, it's weird because it's like you're saying the prophecy was real, but then you're also saying that Palpatine didn't die. You could make an argument he still brought balance to the Force because the New Republic was formed and it took a long time for this First Order to come about, but it's still kind of weird that this prophecy was kind of half-baked. Yeah. It would make a lot more sense if Palpatine actually died in Return of the Jedi. But I like that. I think that was really cool. That's like that was a very nerdy thing to do for prequel fans specifically is have Anakin Skywalker himself say that he fulfilled the prophecy of the Chosen One. That's really, really cool. I gotta say,
not a middle finger this time.
No, not at all.
Thumb up.
Big thumbs up. Go see it.
5.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
go see it.
So that was really neat. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's anything else really to talk. I feel like we covered pretty much everything.
Dang, yeah, no. This was an in-depth analysis.
Very in-depth. It's not. I didn't walk away from this movie nearly as frustrated as I did with Last Jedi or Force Awakens.
Yeah,
and I think that says something. There is some really good stuff in it. To some extent, if you're able to turn your brain off, I think it is just like kind of a fun romp. But
I agree.
I don't want to have to do that, especially with Star Wars.
Right.
I want it to be a smart story, and it is frustrating that it's not. It's a pretty dumb finale to not only this trilogy but to all 9 movies.
Right. Because with 6, it wrapped it up pretty nice.
It wrapped it up. I mean, the Empire was defeated. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I am gonna stick with that 5.5 rating. Mediocre. There's a segment in this movie where I was kind of on board, even with all the jumping around and stuff like that. I was still kind of in. I think the third act is really what made it fall apart completely for me. There's stuff all throughout, of course, but I mean, there was enough there that I was actually like, I'm kind of enjoying this. Um, that third act really sucks, though. I gotta say, there's great moments, but overall, it's a pretty weak ending.
Yeah, especially with the stakes. Like these
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like
They it
these are
mean,
huge
but that
stakes.
just it means nothing. It reminds me of in Force Awakens when they say Starkiller Base is like 5 times as big as the original Death Star. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
okay. At some point, it just stops meaning anything.
right. Yeah,
Mm.
I feel like this is this is a movie that some people will find enjoyable regardless of what
Yeah,
anybody else says.
yeah.
Like, yeah, if you go into it like thinking of it as like a one-off
Wow, I don't know how
and
you can do that.
yeah, and you're just you want to see some cool
If you're,
visuals.
I'll say, if you're not a Star Wars fan, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right,
Like, it's not a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie.
right.
Um,
And I don't know if I'm just feeling the way I am because of like just recently
we just
watching.
watched the Star Wars
Yeah,
movies. Yeah, yeah, that
like
doesn't help.
those. Yeah, those feel just so much better.
There's as cool as some of the moments are in this movie, there's nothing in any of these movies that even comes close to uh being as fantastic of a character moment, of a geeky fan moment, of everything as when Luke throws away his lightsaber and says, "I'm a Jedi like my father before me." There's nothing as
Oof.
poignant as that. You know what I mean? It's what a good thing. And then in this, it just feels like, man, I like Rey in this movie, but for the story, she's kind of lame. She's just an overpowered character because she's a Palpatine, I guess.
Yeah,
It's a pretty lame excuse to make her as overpowered as she is, and
yeah,
they don't even bother to explain why Palpatine is so overpowered.
yeah.
It
Like
really doesn't feel like the same character as that we saw in Return of the Jedi or in the prequels. I mean,
no, right. I agree.
yeah, it's pretty upsetting because Ian McDiarmid does a good job. His performance is really solid. I mean, he's he's doing it again. You know,
Yeah,
he's doing his Palpatine again. I just wish it could have been in a better movie. Same goes, of course, for all the Luke and Han and Leia.
yeah.
Oh well. I think that's all right. You got anything else? I think we probably covered a little bit of it.
Just a little bit.
Not a bad movie. Um, not good either. Right
Yeah,
in the middle. Mediocre.
yeah. Middle of the road.
Mediocre. Too bad. It's too bad, but it's not as it'd be a lot more soul crushing, I think, if the first two were like amazing.
Right.
Them not being movies I like and the last one being what it was. It's like, all right, well, a mediocre movie is not the worst thing that could have happened.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is still the best one out of the three, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, I think that's it. How do I end this? Help me.
Like this. Thank you for looking at the Tall King with your ears.